Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible. So, yes. Hello, Andy. Hope you all are doing wonderful preparation. Welcome to our channel DISC Civil Services in Detail, guiding aspirants to become officers. Let's begin our session of The Hindu Current Affairs Analysis and Answer Writing Strategies of April 23rd, 26. E Hindu analysis law, we are doing the high probable topics which having high chances of appearing in our upcoming competitive exams, as well as PYQs వాటికి రెలవెంట్గా ఏమున్నాయి, ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏమొస్తాయి, ప్రిలిమ్స్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్లో, మెయిన్స్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్లో, హౌ ఇట్స్ రెలవెంట్ అండ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్, అండ్ హౌ వన్ కెన్ ప్రిపేర్ నోట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద కరెంట్ ఈవెంట్స్ టాపిక్స్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా డిస్కస్ చేస్తాము. ఫ్యూ స్టాటిక్ అండ్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ పాయింట్స్ కూడా డిస్కస్ చేస్తాము. సో వీఆర్ డూయింగ్ దీస్ ఇన్ బైలింగ్వల్ అండి, ఇంగ్లీష్ అండ్ తెలుగులో. Actually, we used to do this in Hindi and English, but people requested to do in Telugu, so we started. Yes, yeah. So let's begin. Let's see the first article of the day. Iran seizes 2 ships hours after Trump extends truce. So this article is something related to seize of the 2 ships which are there passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and it's done by Iran, and one of them considered as Israel's. Ikkada last few months ago, whatever we have gone through, Israel, Iran issues and ceasefire and everything, keeping all that aside, we have done enough discussion. But again, this is given in the front page and important article of the day kabatti, just understand, okay, there are 2 ships which were passing through Strait of Hormuz, and Iran has been seized these 2, and one of them claimed as one belongs to the Israel. So the 2 vessels named MSC Francisca with Giannis Resign and Epimenados. So these 2 names are considered, ante these 2 names ichi have been in news recently. So these 2 belongs to, whether it's related to artificial intelligence, or whether it's related to any defense mechanism, or whether it's related to the ships which were seized by Iran, which is in news recently అని చెప్పి అడిగినప్పుడు you may be able to answer. So there might be chances of getting questions from these kind of articles అండి. That's it. Again in the article they have mentioned about this why it's necessary to get permission, and what's they are doing with the tampering naval relevant regulations and everything, and why IRCGC Navy has been escorted to Iran's coast and everything. Rest is repetition of what have been done since last few days. That's it, and no need to go into the dwell into the details again and again. It's waste of time and energy. Just give a glance, that's it, enough. And next most important article of the day, INS Nirikshak arrives in Colombo for bilateral exercise. The moment you gone through this article, first thing you should come in mind is, okay, INS Nirikshak edaithe undo, what are the significance, what are the basic features, and what is the main motto of this. Along with that, India Sri Lanka bilateral exercises antunaru. So what is the theme for the year, and what is the main motto, significance? That's it. So let's see the article. This is the one. Indian Navy's diving support and submarine rescue vessel INS Nirikshak is arrived in Colombo on Tuesday to participate in the 4th edition of the India Sri Lanka diving exercise. That is nothing but DIVEX 2026. The main motto itself is exchange of technology, diving support system, as well as few focusing on few relevant aspects of maritime security, etc. So underwater cooperation, so undertaking specialized engagements which is aiming to enhancing interoperability, operational cohesion, and most importantly exchange of best practices between the 2 nations. See, Indian Ocean region lo edaithe Mahasagar vision undo, we are focusing lot on maritime security, we are focusing lot on building strong ties with the island nations, so that we can have strong command over this Indian Ocean regions ani. In previous articles we have already done enough discussion about this, but again it was given in news in the front page kabatti INS Nirikshak gurinchi chadivi what are the other visions and what are the other mottos of government of India oksa chuskunte sarpotundi. Main target is definitely maritime security, curbing piracy, drug trafficking, human trafficking. That's it, nothing more than that. So coming back, few important points as part of this DIVEX 2026 on humanitarian grounds. The ship will be presenting to Bhishma, that is nothing but Bharat Health Initiative of Sahayog Hita and Maitri cubes to the Sri Lankan authorities under the government of India's Arogya Maitri initiatives. They are going to give this to the Sri Lankan government and most importantly these are equipped with essential medicines and surgical tools which are the basic procedures and which are basic needs of these people, those who are in these diving and these operations, that thing. So, further strengthening maritime security cooperation, Indian Navy will also hand over 50,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition to the Sri Lankan Navy. And coming back to the basic of this INS Nirikshak, it has been built by Musgon shipbuilders in 1985. Since then it has been in service and with the Navy since 1985. That is it, nothing more than that. Tribunal gives last opportunity to Odisha, Chhattisgarh to settle Mahanadi dispute. So, in this article they have clearly mentioned about the dispute which is there since 2016, 2018, Mahanadi relevant ga Odisha and Chhattisgarh government, now it is high time to take a decision. Why you people are dragging this and చెప్పి. So, article is also talking about the Mahanadi water dispute tribunal which has been started in 2018. So, may soon deliver its judgment on water sharing formula between Odisha and Chhattisgarh with both states failing to place a concrete proposal for the mutual settlement. So, this tribunal has been given a last opportunity to both the states. ఇక్కడ ఇచ్చారు చూడండి. And what is the main reason for this dispute ante here clearly governments are saying this, see the one ikkada konni static points chudali, origin of Mahanadi and how it is flowing through Bay of Bengal and what happened on the process of flowing that particular states what they are doing ani. So, ikkada government em clear ga cheptundi, panels members ivanni pakkan petti, okay, you may have a chance of getting question on Mahanadi water dispute is in news. So, the panel contains members of or the name of the people those who are in the panel. So, it is a 3-member panel comprising Justice Trivedi, Justice Ravi Ranjan and Justice Indrameet Kaur. That is it. They expressed they are not happy and they expressed unhappiness over the manner in which the proceedings are going on. So, 851 kilometer long Mahanadi river which originates from the Amarkantak hills in the Bastar plateau of Chhattisgarh flows for nearly 494 kilometers in Odisha before it is meeting Bay of Bengal. So, following its formation as a separate state, Chhattisgarh demand for water skyrocketed which led to creating more number of dams and barrages. So, now the Odisha government found out that there was considerable reduction in the water which is flowing into their territory. Now, they raise a question and saying you people ఏదైతే కట్టడాలు చేసి వాటర్ని కంట్రోల్ చేసుకుంటున్నారో వీఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు గెట్ ద ప్రాపర్ యూజ్ ఆఫ్ అండ్ ప్రాపర్ షేర్ ఆఫ్ ద వాటర్ అండ్ దట్ ఈస్ అగైన్ గివింగ్ హ్యూజ్ ఇంపాక్ట్ టు అవర్ ఎకానమీ యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ ద డైలీ నీడ్స్ అని. సో నౌ అకార్డింగ్ టు ద ఒడిస్సా గవర్నమెంట్, Chhattisgarh has built more than 500 incuts and 30 barrages which is major reason for the industrial use, mainly used for the industrial use and creating chaos to these particular states. So, now the ఏదైతే మహానది వాటర్ డిస్ప్యూట్ ట్రిబ్యునల్ ఉందో ఇట్ ఈస్ క్లియర్లీ సేయింగ్ నో ఇట్స్ హై టైమ్ యూ పీపుల్ టేక్ ఏ డెసిషన్ ఆర్ లెట్ అస్ ఇంటర్ఫియర్ అని. ఇక్కడ వాట్ ఆర్ ద ఆర్టికల్స్ రిలేటెడ్ టు వాటర్ డిస్ప్యూట్ మెకానిజమ్స్, వాట్ ఆర్ ద యాక్ట్స్ రిలేటెడ్ టు, సో రివర్ బోర్డ్స్ యాక్ట్ ఏంటి, ఇంటర్ స్టేట్ వాటర్ డిస్ప్యూట్ ఏం చెప్తుంది, సెంటర్ హౌ ఇట్ యాక్ట్స్ టేకింగ్ డెసిషన్స్ ఆన్ దిస్ అని చెప్పి మహానది వాటర్ డిస్ప్యూట్ ట్రిబ్యునల్ అదర్ అబ్జర్వేషన్స్ ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి. సిన్స్ 2016 ఏమవుతుందో చూసుకోండి. స్టాటిక్ పార్ట్ ఇలాంటి టాపిక్స్ న్యూస్లో ఉండేటప్పుడు యూ మే గెట్ ఎ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్ దిస్, అంటే డైరెక్ట్గా యూ మే గెట్ ఎ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్ ట్రిబ్యునల్స్ ఆర్ యాక్ట్స్ ఆర్ రెలవెంట్ టు పాలిటీ పర్స్పెక్టివ్లో ఆర్ ఎల్స్ జాగ్రఫీ పర్స్పెక్టివ్లో మహానది ఆరిజిన్, ఫ్లోయింగ్, లెఫ్ట్ ట్రిబ్యూటరీస్ ఏంటి, రైట్ ట్రిబ్యూటరీస్ ఏంటి, అదర్ ఫీచర్స్ ఏంటి, లొకేషన్ వైజ్గా ఇవన్నీ ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి సరిపోతుంది. దట్స్ ఇట్. So, this is the image I have taken from the digital version and this image they have clearly mentioned about they are conducting an awareness campaign by student on World Earth Day at Kaban Park in Bangalore. So, ikkada manaki World Earth Day is the keyword. So, on April 22nd every year they conduct this. United Nations General Assembly is the one which has announced. So, 1970s nindi environmental awareness kosam the day which was introduced as a Earth Day, since then they have started focusing on, finally UNGA is the one which introduced it as a international day. సో ఈ ఇయర్ థీమ్ అవర్ పవర్ అవర్ ప్లానెట్, ఫోకసింగ్ మోర్ ఆన్ రెన్యూవబుల్ ఎనర్జీ, కర్బింగ్ క్లైమేట్ పొల్యూషన్ అండ్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ ఎక్స్చేంజెస్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, రీఛార్జబుల్ గ్రౌండ్ వాటర్ అండ్ ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్, దీస్ ఆర్ ద బేసిక్ ఫ్యూచర్స్ అండి. దట్స్ ఇట్. సో థీమ్ ఏంటి? అవర్ పవర్ అవర్ ప్లానెట్, April 2022 and 2026కి ఇది థీమ్. దట్స్ ఇట్, నథింగ్ మోర్ దెన్ దట్. Government adds 14 seaports excuse me, for e-visa entry, widens immigration access. Okay. If you have any queries or if you feel like you need something inka detailed ga clear ga, you can put a comment andi. So yeah, the Union Ministry has designated 14 more seaports and half of them are in Gujarat as immigration checkposts. So those who are holding e-visas, government has came up with a new initiative giving more number of immigration checkposts so that it can ease the process and more number of tourists can visit our nation. So ikkada konni important points icharu. Idi చాలా important article. Let's see, international affairs perspective lo, visas perspective lo also. So electronic visa facilities have been operational since March 19 at అలంగ్ భేడి బందర్. ఆ 14 లొకేషన్స్ ఏంటో అవి చెప్తున్నారు. భావ్నగర్, పోర్బందర్, హజీరా, పిపివాహ, మాండ్వి సీపోర్ట్స్ ఇన్ గుజరాత్, కడలూర్, నాగపట్టినం అండ్ టుటుకూడి ఇన్ తమిళనాడు, కాకినాడ, కృష్ణపట్నం ఇన్ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్, పారదీప్ అండ్ ధర్మా ఇన్ ఒడిస్సా, ఎక్సెట్రా. You may get a question, which are the 2 locations recently added in Andhra Pradesh for these visas ani. So what are the 2 locations ani adagochu. Those who are writing APPSC TGPSC exams, state level based ee kind of current affairs important andi. So ee locations ni altogether 114 immigration checkposts are there across air, sea and land routes. So ikkada international traffic ni ease cheyadaniki at present there are 37 ICPs unnai at seaports lo. So 14 more have been added. So e-visa holders are allowed to enter India only through 32 designated airports and 33 seaports. Ikkada e-visas often confused with visa on arrival. Both are different andi. So this is available to citizens of 207 countries excluding China, Pakistan, Yemen and Iran. ఇది చాలా important point. So which of the following nations doesn't comes under or doesn't have this inclusion of these e-visas or exclusion of these 4 nations అన్నప్పుడు China, Pakistan, Yemen, Iran are the one which doesn't have. So e-visas categories are tourist ఒకటి, business ఒకటి, medical and medical attendant, student or family transit, miscellaneous and production investment with validity ranging from 1 month to 5 years. So those who are coming with e-visas should come under these categories and the validation of that particular visa is 1 month to 5 years andi. And the 4 nation which doesn't comes under China, Yemen, Pakistan, Iran. That's it. So in a related development, ministry revised modalities for granting tourist visas to Chinese nations. So Indian embassy almost basing ki 2025 lo clear ga cheppindi that tourist visas would be issued to Chinese nationals only after 5 years ani. So after 2020 pandemic, Galwan Valley incident jarigin tarvata, pandemic tarvata, there was lots of chaos between 2 nations. Finally there was, now when they suspended flights and they what it's called, they stopped these visas, allowing people, even allowing those who are like having these media related aspects and everything anni control chesesam. But now they given permission for Indian students in 2022 and later for business and tourism. And on March 30 the Ministry of Home Affairs is the one which amended tourist visa for Chinese tourists by liberalizing conditions for Buddhist pilgrims and family members of ఎవరైతే higher officials of that particular nation ఉంటారో వాళ్ళకి. So the center on October 2, 2025 again gave green signal to resume direct flights between India. Last year మనం హిందూ కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ అనాలిసిస్ చేసేటప్పుడు క్లియర్లీ వి డిస్కస్డ్ అబౌట్ దట్ ఏదైతే డీఎస్కలేషన్ అట్ గల్వాన్ వ్యాలీ ఉందో, మేజర్ రీజన్స్ ఏంటి, హౌ ఇట్ ఎవాల్వ్డ్ అండ్ వాట్ ఆర్ ద అదర్ రిపర్కషన్స్, ఇవన్నీ డిస్కస్ చేసిన తర్వాత ద కనెక్టివిటీ విచ్ దే స్టార్టెడ్, ఏదైతే పీపుల్ టు పీపుల్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ ఉందో, ఆ తర్వాత పిల్గ్రిమేజెస్కి వే ఇవ్వడం గురించి, సారనాథ్ టెంపుల్ గురించి, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం మాట్లాడాం. అప్పుడు ఆ పర్టికులర్ పాయింట్లో క్లియర్గా మనం మ్యాప్స్ వేసి గల్వాన్ వ్యాలీలో ఏం జరిగింది, నియర్ బై లొకేషన్స్ ఏంటి, డీఎస్కలేషన్స్, స్టాండ్ ఆఫ్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా డిస్కస్ చేసాం. అగైన్ ఇట్స్ ఇన్ న్యూస్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ఈ వీసాస్ కాబట్టి నౌ దే ఆర్ అలౌవింగ్ ద ఫ్లైట్స్, నౌ దే ఆర్ అలౌవింగ్ దీస్ people, those who are in media, etc., just go through once. That's it. Nothing more than that. Yeah. Are there any? If there is any doubt, you can post a comment. So yes, Rajnath Singh holds bilateral talks with German counterpart in Berlin. ఈ ఆర్టికల్లో చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫీచర్స్ ఉన్నాయి, బికాస్ దిస్ ఈజ్ హైలీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ ఇంటర్నేషనల్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్, బికాస్ they are marking 25 years of strategic partnership and 75 years of diplomatic relations in 2026. UPSC always frames a question when it celebrates 25 years gani, 50 years gani, 100 years gani. So silver jubilee avanni antam kada, kind of. So India Germany relations ki strategic partnership lo now they are completing 25 years and it is completing 75 beautiful years of diplomatic relations. So you may have a chance of getting question on India and Germany relations. So here the article is exclusively focusing on Defense Minister Rajnath Singh garu on Wednesday held bilateral talks with this person, German counterpart Boris, in Berlin, and they are focusing on strategic defense partnership between the two nations. See, whenever you come across any news which is related to any national's particular person have arrived in India or ever any prominent personality like Honorable PM garu or President garu or External Affairs Ministry, whoever gone to other nation, the first thing you have to come across, what are the different MOUs, agreements, what about the bilateral relations, what about the multilateral relations, what are the exchanges, people to people connectivity in the terms of technology, energy, what they are doing for maritime security, what they are doing to build the economy, ఇవన్నీ కూడా చూసుకోవాలి సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్తో పాటు. సో హియర్ అగైన్ ద కమ్స్ ద సేమ్ ఫార్మాట్. సో ఇండియా జర్మనీ రిలేషన్స్ మాట్లాడుతూ దే ఆర్ ఫోకసింగ్ ఆన్ వైడ్ రేంజ్ ఆఫ్ సెక్యూరిటీ అండ్ డిఫెన్స్ ఇష్యూస్ with a strong emphasis on co-development and co-production of defense equipment, particularly in niche and emerging technologies. Both sides reaffirm their commitment to enhancing military to military cooperation. That's like exchanging defense and exchanging their persons as well as technologies only. So during the meeting, the Defense Industrial Cooperation Roadmap and Implementing Arrangement for Cooperation in UN Peacekeep Training was signed and exchanged, marking a significant step toward the collaboration. This is one of the important key feature. And on global issues, these both people are talking about providing stability on the global economy as well as they are focusing on exchanging ties. Ante edaithe German Air Force upcoming exercise Tarang Shakti undo, they are going to schedule and conduct this in India this year. So exercise Tarang is something related to India and Germany. Divex 2026 is related to India and Sri Lanka, where INS Nirikshak has been participated. That's it. Is that clear? So toxic workplaces take lives of 8.4 lakh people annually. This is highly important andi for both prelims and mains perspective lo ee facts ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఆర్టికల్లో ఉన్న రిపోర్ట్స్ ఫ్యాక్ట్స్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో 102% అండర్లైన్ చేసుకుని యూ హ్యావ్ టు రైట్ ఇట్ ఇన్ యువర్ కరెంట్ అఫేర్ నోట్స్ అండి. లెట్ మీ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ దిస్ వెరీ క్లియర్లీ. సో మోర్ దాన్ 8,40,000 పీపుల్ డై ఈచ్ ఇయర్ అరౌండ్ ద గ్లోబ్ ఫ్రమ్ హెల్త్ కండిషన్స్ లింక్డ్ టు psychological risk including long working hours, job insecurity, workplace harassment according to a new global report by ILO. So ee ILO release chesin report name enti, the psychological working environment where global developments and pathways for action. So the report prescribes policy interventions at both government level and industry is very much required and it is the need of our so that these kind of deaths can be controlled ani. Along with the empowering collective focus. See, last year మనం ఈ ఆర్టికల్స్ చదివేటప్పుడు హెరాస్మెంట్ ఎట్ వర్క్ ప్లేస్, రైట్ టు వర్క్, రైట్ టు లైఫ్, రైట్ టు వర్క్ ఎట్ రైట్ ప్లేస్, రైట్ టు లివ్ విత్ డిగ్నిటీ, ఈ ఆర్టికల్స్ మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు రైట్ టు వర్క్, toxic work hours and how people are losing their life and how it is giving rise to more mental stress and how it is giving impact on families and further it is giving rise to the more number of health complaints instead of those people who should be అంటే demographic dividend లో ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో these working force ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో instead of keeping them in the plus ante they should contribute to the GDP and economy, but because of this work tensions and work harassment they are losing their lives or they are losing their health. Further it is giving loss to the economy because instead of coming as a plus point to the GDP and economy allocation to health services to control these kind of activities or these kind of issues. more budget లో ఎక్స్ట్రా అలాట్మెంట్ ఇవ్వాల్సి వస్తుంది. సో ఏదైతే ద వర్క్ ఫోర్స్ విచ్ షుడ్ బి యాడెడ్ ఆర్ యాక్టెడ్ యాజ్ ప్లస్ పాయింట్ టు ద ఎకానమీ, దే ఆర్ యాక్టెడ్ యాజ్ ఏ మైనస్ పాయింట్. సో హియర్ ద వర్క్ ప్లేస్ హెరాస్మెంట్ ఈస్ ద కీ రోల్. సో వర్కింగ్ కండిషన్స్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో, మోర్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ వర్క్ అవర్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, ఈవెన్ రైట్ టు డిస్కనెక్ట్ మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు కూడా. సో ఆఫ్టర్ లీవింగ్ యువర్ ఆఫీస్ అండ్ ఆఫ్టర్ కంప్లీటింగ్ యువర్ ఆఫీస్ అవర్స్, ఇట్ షుడ్ బి రియల్లీ dignified and acceptable to right to disconnect. So now focus more on that అని చెప్పి ఈ ఆర్టికల్స్ మనం మాట్లాడాం. సో దిస్ ఈస్ సంథింగ్ రిలేటెడ్ టు దట్. సో దిస్ రిపోర్ట్ ఈస్, ఇదంతా కూడా లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ అనాలిసిస్లో మనం డిస్కస్ చేసాము. ఇప్పుడు ఆర్టికల్లో ఏముందో సిమిలర్ పాయింట్సే, కాకపోతే న్యూ రిపోర్ట్ వచ్చింది కాబట్టి న్యూ అబ్జర్వేషన్స్ దే ఆర్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్. So the report said work related psychosocial risk represent major and growing threat to workers, their safety, health, organizational productivity, even broader academic performance. Because if you are working restlessly, how can you expect you right product output ni productivity ni you can't expect, and you can't expect to give wonderful performance. Your potential is very much important to give right results kada. So that is what they are talking about. So psychological risk factors are responsible for losing of lives for more than 8,40,000 deaths annually, and again due to associated with the cardiovascular diseases and mental disorders, this report has been added. So these risks also lead to nearly 45 million disability adjusted lives per year anta. And also they are talking about these ILO estimates clearly that globally 35% of workers work more than 48 hours per week anta. Just imagine the level of stress they passes through. So exposure to bullying, other forms of violence, harassment is another major concern. So ILO estimates that 23% of workers globally have experienced at least one form of violence or harassment in their working life, with psychological violence being the most prevalent at 18%. So finally, key resources of evidence of these studies enti, global prevalence of 5 major psychological risk factors at work, like job strain, effort reward imbalance, job insecurity, long working hours, and workplace bullying or harassment. Definitely workplace bullying or harassment happens, not even అంటే bullying అనేది స్కూల్ కాలేజెస్ మాట్లాడతాం కానీ it happens at workplaces also, because if you are much more capable and if you are giving your 100% and you are so genuine and honest and you are really doing your best, so definitely the colleagues who are not that much they compare when they are not giving their 100% or they are not that much good at work, they will definitely start bullying or harassment or spreading rumors or allegations kind of. That definitely affect your mental health as well as your work performance. Then finally if it worsens, then leads to these kind of activities. This is what it is all about. That's it. So report enti, ILO ichindi, report name enti, observations enti anadi, prelims ki facts important, analysis edaithe manam discuss chesamo, వర్క్ అవర్స్, రైట్ టు వర్క్ ఎట్ విత్ డిగ్నిటీ, వర్క్ ప్లేస్ సేఫ్టీ, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మెయిన్స్కి ఇంపార్టెంట్. దాట్స్ ఇట్. దిస్ ఈజ్ వెరీ 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 ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆర్టికల్ అండి. ఇఫ్ యూ పాసిబుల్ యూ పుట్ ఏ double స్టార్ మార్క్. ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్ హీట్ థ్రెటన్స్ ఫుడ్ సిస్టమ్ వార్న్. దిస్ ఈజ్ బై UN ఏజెన్సీస్. సో UN ఏజెన్సీస్ క్లియర్లీ ఏం చెప్తున్నారు, హయ్యర్ టెంపరేచర్స్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో, దిస్ ఈజ్ షరింకింగ్ ద సేఫ్టీ మార్జిన్ దట్ ప్లాంట్స్, యానిమల్స్, హ్యూమన్స్ రిలై ఆన్ టు ఫంక్షన్. ఇంతవరకు హీట్ వేవ్స్ గురించి, ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్ టెంపరేచర్స్ గురించి, గ్లోబల్ వార్మింగ్ గురించి, క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ గురించి మనం మాట్లాడాం కదా. దిస్ ఈజ్ సంథింగ్ రిలేటెడ్ టు హీట్ వేవ్స్ ఈజ్ గివింగ్ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఆన్ దీస్ plants and other animals too. So extreme heat is pushing global agri-food system to brink, threatening livelihoods and health of more than billion people. This is what recent UN observation is. So United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization plus World Meteorological Organization said that heat waves are becoming more frequent, intense and prolonged, damaging crops, livestock, fisheries, forest. So for livestock, the report details a thermal humidity. The report enti, report name enti, you may get a question on prelims andi. Recently FAO and WMO given a report based on which these are the statements given అని చెప్పి స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఇస్తారు, ఆర్ రిపోర్ట్ నేమ్ ఇస్తారు, ఆర్ 2 or 3 డిఫరెంట్ రిపోర్ట్స్ నేమ్స్ ఇస్తారు. ఆరల్స్ క్వశ్చన్లో రిపోర్ట్ నేమ్ అండ్ అబ్జర్వేషన్ ఇచ్చి దిస్ పర్టికులర్ రిపోర్ట్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ రీసెంట్లీ రిలీజ్డ్ బై విచ్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ అని ఇస్తారు. So you have to be very thorough with these kind of observations and reports, and these are the recent observations kabatti mains lo kuda you have to quote when you are writing something related to environment or something related to global changes, something you want to suggest it, these are the observations, so we can do it and cheppesi way forward kind of. So extreme heat intensifies droughts, pest outbreaks, and most importantly curds yield one's critical temperature. Ikkada clear ga observations em cheptunarante because of these temperatures or because of these extreme heats. See, 3 days back మనం ఒక ఆర్టికల్ చదివాం హిందూలో where they are talking about heat waves ఏదైతే ఉందో it should be considered as national emergency and it should also be taken care by the NDRF team అని చెప్పి. So again every year when they talk about most highest heat waves in this particular ఉంది ఇయర్ లో ఉంది or this is the hottest year in the decade kind of last few years గా మనం చదువుతున్నాము. So again every year it will be, it's like becoming more worse and worse and the temperatures are increasing. So it's nothing like that particular year is only the hottest year. ఏ ఇయర్ వస్తున్నా నెక్స్ట్ అది hottest year because of the lifestyle which we are doing, which we are following, so and the works which we are doing. So here they clearly mentioned about because of these triggering temperatures cattle production లో ఏదైతే ఉందో అది మిల్క్ ప్రొడక్షన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఇవన్నీ కూడా దే ఆర్ డిక్రీజింగ్ as well as extreme heat is rewriting the script on what farmers, fishers, foresters are growing, and these are the observations given by the FAO's climate change officer, head officer ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో కవే జహీది గారు, and he clearly mentioned that climate disasters data sets show global warming is accelerating with 2025 ranking among the 3 hottest years on record, triggering more frequent and heat waves and severe heat waves anta. So actually they are also talking about this is shrinking the safety margin that plants, animals and these particular humans rely on, and beyond just dehydration extreme heat disrupts rest period of life. Alaga ఏదైతే ఈ నైట్ టైం టెంపరేచర్ ఫోర్సెస్ ఉంటాయో విచ్ క్రాప్స్ మెయింటైన్ ఫర్ హై రెస్పిరేషన్, సో దీస్ రేట్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ డార్క్ కన్జ్యూమింగ్ ద ఎనర్జీ స్టోర్స్ దే బిల్డ్ త్రూ ఫోటోసిన్సిస్. ఏదైతే ద ఎనర్జీ రిసోర్సెస్ దే బిల్డ్ త్రూ ఫోటోసిన్సిస్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ హైయర్ టెంపరేచర్స్ దే ఆర్ కన్జ్యూమింగ్ దట్, అండ్ అగైన్ దట్ ఈస్ లీడింగ్ బియాండ్ జస్ట్ డిహైడ్రేషన్, అండ్ దిస్ ఎగ్జాషన్ స్టన్స్ గ్రోత్ అండ్ లీడ్స్ టు పోలెన్ స్టెరిలిటీ అంట. జస్ట్ ఇమాజిన్ ద కాన్సిక్వెన్సెస్ ఎలా ఉన్నాయో, అక్కడ డిహైడ్రేషన్ జరుగుతుంది ప్లాంట్స్లో అండ్ పోలెన్ స్టెరిలిటీ ఏదైతే ఉందో అది కంట్రోల్ అయిపోతుంది, ఫోటోసిన్సిస్ వల్ల వచ్చిన ఎనర్జీ కన్జ్యూమ్ అయిపోతుంది, అండ్ ఫైనల్లీ ఏదైతే హీట్ డ్యూరింగ్ క్రిటికల్ ఫ్లవరింగ్ విండో ఉంటుందో అది ట్రిగ్గర్ చేయడం వల్ల ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ప్రివెంటింగ్ ద ఫెర్టిలైజేషన్ రిజల్టింగ్ ఇన్ ఎంప్టీ హస్క్. అంటే ఏదైతే ఫుడ్ గ్రెయిన్స్ ఉందో వెదర్ ఇట్స్ రైస్, వీట్ ఆర్ బార్లీ, ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ గెటింగ్ దోస్ వీట్స్ those grains, it is just ended up as a empty husk. So again the productivity is decreasing, again that is a huge loss not only to the plants also to the human andi, ante economy kuda disrupt avutunnatte. So marine heat waves are also becoming one of the more frequent challenges and depleting oxygen levels in water, and further it's threatening fish stocks. సో ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ ఫిష్ స్టాక్ అండి, ఏదైతే మెరైన్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ ఉంటుందో కోరల్ రీఫ్స్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ దానికి కూడా ఇట్స్ ఎ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ థ్రెటే. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ గివింగ్ ఓవరాల్ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఆన్ ద ఆల్ ద లైఫ్ సైకిల్ అండ్ ఇట్స్ ఆల్సో డిస్టర్బింగ్ ద ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అంట. సో ఇన్ 2024 91% of world's ocean experienced at least one marine heat wave. This is what they are talking about, and finally they are came up with few observations, and they are talking about this is the high time to come up with early warning weather systems to help farmers and foresters అని చెప్తున్నారు. That's it. This is very important article. This is something related to India-South Korea relations. So in this article they have clearly mentioned about they have to coordinate on weathering geopolitical storms. So ikkada India-South Korea relations మాట్లాడుతూ they have came up with few observations అండి. This is a wonderful article where it covered every aspect ante Korean dramas దగ్గర నుండి how these nations are exchanging, and still Vietnam has the high possibility or high potential to maintain good relations with India, but still there is a gap between these two nations and చెప్పి how they are getting economy టూరిస్ట్ పాయింట్స్ నుండి, ఎనర్జీ ఎక్స్చేంజెస్ నుండి, మిలిటరీ ఎక్స్చేంజెస్ నుండి, టెక్నాలజీ దగ్గర నుండి, దట్స్ వాట్ ఐ మెన్షన్, కొరియన్ డ్రామాస్ దగ్గర నుండి, ఎవ్రీథింగ్ దే హ్యావ్ మెన్షన్ దిస్ ఆర్టికల్. దిస్ ఈస్ ఎ వండర్ఫుల్ ఆర్టికల్ వేర్ దే ఆర్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ ఎవ్రీ పాసిబుల్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్ ఆఫ్ టెక్నాలజీ అండ్ రిలేషన్స్ బిట్వీన్ ద టూ నేషన్స్. సో దిస్ ఆర్టికల్ కేమ్ ఇన్ లైట్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ఏదైతే recentగా India and Republic of Korea was at the top of the list of outcomes from the 2-day visit of President Lee Myung to Delhi, meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi garu. So these two people are meeting and this is the 2-day visit and this is the high time for maintaining strong coordination and bilateral relations between the two nations. So what are the observations and what are the outcomes ఒకసారి చూద్దాం. ఇక్కడ this visit 8 years after the last by the South Korean president, that is one of the most important point. Second important point, they are focusing on building futuristic styles amid recent global turmoil. Definitely, because in the era where the geopolitics plays a very crucial role, India is one such nation. From being like a Vishwaguru, now we are focusing on maintaining our relations with the equals too. ఏదైతే power politics ఉందో, ఏదైతే powers తో we are trying to build our relations and managing that power politics and everything, still we are trying to maintain relations with the other nations also. So here they are talking about, it's high time the two leaders committed to taking trade levels to $50 billion by the end of the decade. First most important point, they launching joint vision for India ROC special strategic partnership. This is one more important point. Framework statements of shipbuilding, maritime logistics, energy resource security, sustainability, and they signed 15 MOUs on different sectors. This is further like cooperation in number of economic areas. In particular, these two nations are seeking to use Korean technology and India's capability to scale building partnership in critical minerals, etc. So they are exchanging on that too. Those who are in live, if they have any doubt or if they want to communicate or if they want to ask something, they can happily put a comment andi. So Korean companies are household names in India, adi manaki telusu. Ante those who very good at current affairs, they can come across these chips, mecha edaithe machines undo, technology undo, aa points maatladam. So which has become the largest production base for many of the years. Ikkada em cheptunnaru, ikkada inkoka point kuda chepparu. Despite the present day successes, an ancient history dating back to Korean princess Suri Ratna, also known as Ho Hwang Ho, who was believed to travel from Ayutha or Ayodhya anta. And ikkada inkokati kuda em cheptunnarante, India South Korea ties have been since ages, it has strong potential and now it's strengthening ani. So current level of $27 billion in bilateral trade edaithe undo, it is really low for two economies and among the world's top 15 by GDP. Ikkada Korean dramas and K-pop are very popular in India, while Indian cultural and religious influence is evident in South Korea, yet tourist flows remain low. This departure to Vietnam from India is again low. See, India has just 12,000 Korean residents, while Vietnam has 2 lakhs. Inkokati Vietnam, ikkada inko point kuda chepparu, India's population is 15 times larger than Vietnam, still it has low number of residents. So again we have to work on building strong ties. ఏదైతే exchanges in the name of technology గానీ, స్టూడెంట్స్ కానీ, వీసాస్ కానీ ఉందో, that we has to focus and foster అని చెప్పి. So closer ties between them will be requiring lots of efforts for political and strategic relations to stronger ties in the Indo-Pacific region and CEPA trade agreement etc. చెప్పారు. ఇక్కడ మోడీ గారు 3 keywords చెప్పారు. అవేంటి? Democratic values. See, these kind of phrases you have to write in your current affairs notes so that you can quote these and in your mains answers andi. These are the highly important points. So ikkada DNA ani oka acronym ichi he clearly mentioned about democratic values, market economy and rule of law. So these 3 features are DNA for having strong ties between 2 nations and చెప్పి both nations ki these are deeply embedded in the their relations అని చెప్తున్నారు. So finally they are talking about the US-Israel war with Iran is the disruptions in maritime trade and long-term energy shortages. Still we have to focus more on so that we can build a weather where we can work together అని చెప్పి. That's it, nothing more than that. So let's see the next article of the day. This is editorial and highly important. These editorials analysis outcomes chala important because the crux and the analysis, the important dimensions ఏదైతే ఉందో, static part background ఏదైతే ఉందో, you can get only through editorials. It's not that possible. And I always suggest that editorials has been written by such a wonderful scholars where you can get all the relevant information. Mains ki gaani, prelims ki gaani, extraordinary source of information editorials andi. And yes, it definitely requires lots of time and energy kabatti you have to thorough. సో మీకు కొంచెం ఈజీగా అర్థం అవ్వడానికి ఐఎమ్ ఫోకసింగ్ మోర్ ఆన్ డిస్కసింగ్ అండ్ అనలైజింగ్ ఎడిటోరియల్స్ అండి. లెట్స్ సీ దిస్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ రిలేటెడ్ టు డొనాల్డ్ ట్రంప్ షుడ్ లిఫ్ట్ ద బ్లాకేడ్ ఫర్ ఇరాన్ టు కీప్ ద స్ట్రైట్ ఆఫ్ హోర్ముజ్, ఇరాన్స్ న్యూక్లియర్ ప్రోగ్రాము, కంట్రోలు, యుఎస్, ఇజ్రాయెల్. వీ హ్యావ్ డన్ ఇన్నఫ్ డిస్కషన్ ఆన్ దిస్. యుఎస్, ఇజ్రాయెల్, ఇరాన్, how they attacked their nuclear projects and places, and how Iran announced a cease of these Strait of Hormuz, how they started attacking each other's states, and what happened then, rest history. Daniki one of the again conclusion kind of, or again summary kind of this article, self explanatory, no need to go through. India's post left wing extremism, from red sun to new dawn. This is highly important article andi. 14 years ago in West Midnapur in West Bengal, Simdega in Jharkhand, 2 districts worst affected by left wing extremism. Young tribal girls often practiced hockey and football. So ikkada they have discussed about left wing extremism. This is such a beautiful article. He discussed it since Manmohan Singh's era to now, when they introduced this edaithe eradication of complete left wing extremism should be done by 2026 ani. So what was pre era of left wing extremism, what happened in post left wing extremism, and how this can be tackled. Ante pre was something really troubled the red corridor areas, and how it is gonna impact now. ఇక్కడ 2 బ్యూటిఫుల్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ అండ్ కేస్ స్టడీస్ ఇచ్చారు ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఆర్టికల్లో. దిస్ ఈస్ సచ్ ఎ బ్యూటిఫుల్ బిగినింగ్ వేర్ హీ క్లియర్లీ మెన్షన్ అబౌట్ ఏదైతే దోస్ పర్టికులర్ ఏరియాస్ హ్యావ్ బీన్ యూటిలైజ్డ్, దోస్ రఫ్ టెరెన్స్ హ్యావ్ బీన్ యూటిలైజ్డ్ యాజ్ cricket places and volleyball places and etc. So those 2 people who used to juggle in these footballs on uneven earth, they now came up with beautiful flying colors ani. So ikkada they have clearly mentioned, today the Salima Tete carries forward Simdega's hockey legacy as captain of India's women hockey team, and Mamta Hamzda from that same rugged football center in West Midnapur is now part of the Indian women's senior football team ani. So these 2 people who are leading India in football and this hockey team are the one who came up with these particular regions which were completely affected by the left wing extremism. So ikkada em cheptunnaru, aa particular areas ni when the government decided to take into consideration and providing them basic infrastructure facilities, education, sports, extra skill development and training etc. So these areas can be give the beautiful lives to the youth who are residing there instead of converting them into these rivals and everything ani. So this article has been started with such kind of case studies introduction andi. Ikkada ina clear ga em cheptunnaru, in 2009 when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh identified LWE, left wing extremism, as most serious internal security threat facing the nation, and in April 2010 it witnessed the deadliest Maoist attack in security forces, so which resulted again in the loss of 76 Central Reserve polices. So then on they were started focusing on, okay, this is the worst situation, this has to be tackled properly because national security and taking care of the people who are involved in that is very much important. Instead of giving them a place or instead of giving them punishment, it's high time to focusing on giving them the life and cheppi. Ikkada 16 years later, when 2010 it was started, 16 years later in 2026 when Union Minister Amit Shah garu informed that house that now India is free of Maoist insurgency. Ikkada ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఎడిటోరియల్లో he clearly mentioned about how the government policy initiatives, interventions, everything taken into consideration, and how these red corridors which were once a house of this terror and everything now converted into beautiful places of giving life to the young and converting those youth into wonderful people ani. And also he is talking about పోస్ట్ లెఫ్ట్ వింగ్ ఎక్స్ట్రీమిజం ఫ్యూచర్ ఏదైతే ఉందో దిస్ ఈస్ వెరీ మచ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ బికాస్ ద ఏరియాస్ ఎఫెక్టెడ్ మస్ట్ నౌ అవాన్ విన్ టు inclusive transformation అంటే once these areas were utilized or once these areas were considered as exclusion ante these are the areas of terror and these are the particular areas one should not enter or one should not talk about any. But again it is highly important to remember that this is also the part of nation and these are the one who have equal rights like others, so they should come into inclusion and their future is also very much important like the others ani. So ikkada clearly he given few examples how these plans which అంటే మల్టీ ఇయర్ మల్టీ లేయర్డ్ మల్టీ డిసిప్లినరీ అప్రోచెస్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో లైక్ గివింగ్ దెమ్ ఎకనామిక్ ఇండివిజువాలిటీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఎకనామిక్ స్ట్రాటజీస్ విచ్ స్ట్రెంథెండ్ లోకల్ కన్సెప్షన్స్ విచ్ అట్రాక్టెడ్ లోకల్ కమ్యూనిటీ స్టీవార్డ్షిప్ ఎక్సెట్రా అండ్ ఫైనలీ హౌ దీస్ community led ecotourism, regional economic plans, agroforestry, allied livelihoods which given stable employment to the locals and finally how it led to giving rise to the better livelihoods ani. So ikkada inka konni points kuda maatladeru ee article lo. However, this economic transition will be achieved only through administrative presence which sustains beyond strategics. Area dominant exercise is very much important. So now it's high time humans when there was a time where people was thinking about their son's future and the girls who were thinking about their safety and security and the elders who were thinking about their future kids and generations. Now it is the same area where they are focusing on come up with few observations and now it's a human approach we have to focus on development led అని చెప్పేసి. సో ఇక్కడ he has been given a framework first second third fourth fifth points ఉన్నాయి. Yes, third and finally he has came up with few observations where he is talking about forthcoming policy focus in left wing areas which should enable strong rights, credible justice, giving them voice and giving them immediate impact which can give their livelihood and families should be live in a peaceful atmosphere ani. As well as another point which he is talking about structured region specific transformation action plan for the identified districts and he is also given acronym that is AI for is governance framework for this transition where accountability, innovation, evidence, equity and empathy efficiency should be taken into consideration for action plan and framework policy making ani. So this framework can drive focused convergence aspirational districts edaithe unnayo based upon the few schemes which was recently introduced like PM Janman gani Dharti Aba Yojana gani consider and take these villages into these model units ga and then use these tribal subplans and everything and give complete rights and complete development process to them ani. And finally he is talking about through a small set of non-negotiables beginning with rights with respect justice must be believable and these scheduled caste and scheduled tribes evaithe unnayo they always are the vulnerable sections. Now they should feel like yes justice is available to them also ani. And finally he is talking about secure future is very much important like the way 10 years back when the sports is the one such area where these two beautiful girls comes with flying beautiful colors. Now give them sports, skill development, education, basic infrastructure whatever it is required whether it's a schooling, residential schools and everything, scholarships, everything encourage them so that people and youth those who are in that particular area should be like a benefit and boon to the economy and nation and that's it. Final mile in India gurinchi cheptu a shift from counter insurgency coordination to inclusion led and post conflict transformation is very much important అని చెప్తున్నారు. That is the conclusion of this article. So simple ga oka maatlo cheppalante evolution of left wing extremism, how it threatened and how it worsened the lives of the people and youth there and what the government has been doing since last 20 years and how it can be helpful for bringing beautiful colors for the future generations. That's it. This is something wonderful article where this article is talking about India's relations maintaining strong ties and relations with the nations who are in power along with maintaining beautiful relations with the equals partnership. Ante when US sanctioned tariffs we thought of controlling our trade and decreasing imports and exports related these oil and energy securities lo Russia nundi. Instead of we questioning we are having strong ties with Russia why should we do it in your terms ani. So autonomy edaithe undo strategic economy that was at question mark. So now this article is clearly suggesting that whether you have that power, yes or no, keep that aside. You, instead of bargaining and negotiating with powerful nations and being a puppet in the hands of powerful nations, you maintain partnership with the equals and have strong ties with every nations around. So instead of focusing only Russia or China or US for imports of the materials and everything, you should having the ties with nations which have equal compatibility అని చెప్పేసి ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఆర్టికల్లో దే హ్యావ్ గివెన్ వండర్ఫుల్ అనాలిసిస్ అండి, ఇన్పుట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. జస్ట్ అండర్లైన్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ అండ్ ట్రై టు bring down a crux of that article. See, 2026 లో 2 important trade agreements we signed with EU is the one and US is the one. సో EU మదర్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ట్రేడ్స్ ఏదైతే EU డీల్ చేసామో దట్స్ కాల్డ్ అస్ మదర్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ డీల్స్ అండ్ బోత్ అగ్రిమెంట్స్ వర్ లైక్ స్ట్రాటజిక్ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఏదైతే ఉందో ఇండియాని దట్ హ్యాస్ ఎన్హాన్స్డ్. సో అగైన్ ఇక్కడ ఒక ఆర్టికల్ మాట్లాడారు, దీస్ డీల్స్ ఆల్సో రివీల్ ఏ డీపర్ ప్రాబ్లమ్. These allowed countries such as India to trade freely is breaking down, and what you can buy and sell increasingly depends upon the politics. That's kind of strategic economy again. So your autonomy should not disturb economy, as well as your economy should be developed beyond expectations ani, because India is striving to become a global leader and by 2047 edaithe Viksit Bharat vision achieve cheyalani anukuntunnamo, these kind of considerations is very much important to keep in mind. Sorry. So what you can buy and sell is increasingly depends upon politics, not just economics. No country make everything needs. So India has great software engineers, but it needs computer chips from Taiwan. ఇది extraordinary analysis అండి. It makes generic medicines, అంటే India makes generic medicines, but it relies on China for the chemical ingredients, and most importantly it has a huge market but needs technology and investment from others. So for the past few decades global economy flowed smoothly. Buy from whoever made things, and if someone or refused to sell anything unfairly, international bodies, UN organizations ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో they are coming up and they are talking about you should not do this, you should not do this, these are the lines and this is the way we are focusing these rules and regulations పెట్టాము. So every nation has to work in accordance with others peace అని చెప్పి, instead of keeping stress or something on other nation అని. So politics dictates access అని చెప్పి, here the access is what you need. For example, computer chips, rare earth minerals, medical supplies depends on world politics. So US and China selectively block the sale of these critical goods. Even when we were having this Galwan Valley issues, standoff issues, COVID pandemic tarvata, China is the one which utilized these trade allies and trade relations as a weapon to control India andi. At that time we focused on Kazakhstan to critical minerals మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు, missions గురించి మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు we discussed, see we have strong technology and we need that critical minerals డిఫెన్స్ సెక్టర్లో కానీ స్పేస్ ఎక్స్ప్లోరేషన్లో కానీ, బట్ బీయింగ్ డిపెండెంట్ కంప్లీట్లీ ఆన్ చైనా ఇస్ నాట్ యాక్సెప్టబుల్ అని వీ స్టార్టెడ్ ఫోకసింగ్ ఆన్ అదర్ ఆల్టర్నేట్స్ ఏంటి అని. అండ్ ఈవెన్ వెన్ న్యూక్లియర్ పవర్ దే వర్ డిస్కసింగ్ 2 minutes. When they discussed, they clearly mentioned, okay, move towards smaller and focused partnership is very much important. So now it's high time to do. India should begin with 3 pilot partnership where it focus on space, digital infrastructure and AI, which is the urgent need. So country that only manages relationship with the big powers is not at all acceptable. It high time to focus more on partnership with the equals అని. ఈ ఆర్టికల్కి ఇంకొంచెం ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ ఉన్నాయి, వేర్ ఇండియాస్ యూపీఐ కానీ డిజిటల్ లాకర్ కానీ అదర్ మెకానిజమ్స్ ఆఫ్ రీసెంట్ అబ్జర్వేషన్స్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో దోస్ ఆర్ ద ఇన్స్పిరేషన్ ఫర్ అదర్ నేషన్స్ అండ్ దే ఆర్ ట్రయింగ్ టు టేక్ దిస్ అని, యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ అండ్ ఏదైతే యూఎస్ కంపెనీస్ అండ్ చైనా ఉన్నాయో దట్ కెన్ ఆల్సో బీ టేకెన్ కేర్ బై you having strong collaborations with other nations like Africa and Asia where you can build an open AI system ani. So this is all about that article. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, I always mention you can utilize these as an example andi. Text add chesam okkari chuskondi. This is, I will do one thing, we are running out of time, we have another class at 9 o'clock. So I will do one thing, ee particular article and this text you can take it as an example, gist and that particular article and this one I'll do a separate 10-minute session and release it separately andi. So yes, this is all for today's The Hindu current affairs analysis and answer writing strategies andi. There are 2 articles left. One is something discussing with the gist of this particular Tamil Nadu government which is releasing in its manifesto curbing climate change and everything, and something again related to these participation of women in electoral elections and electoral rolls, etc. So these two articles will be done separately, and I'll release it in a separate session. And so this is all for today's The Hindu analysis. I hope these sessions are really helpful. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.